discussing real topics.
Black space.
A safe space for our community.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Black Space Live. I am your host and your girl, Genele Love. And tonight we are going to be discussing polygamy in our community. I know y'all know what that means, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. But don't be stingy. Go ahead and like and share, comment. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that. And if they haven't created something yet, we're going to be on that next week too. So I wanted to go ahead and introduce our lovely panel here. Our topic of discussion tonight will be, are men polygamous by nature? And like I said, we're going to get into that in just a little bit here. We have Dana here tonight with us, and we have the lovely Lola. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and let everyone know who you guys are.
Ladies first.
Okay. Okay. Hi. My name is Lola. Yeah. Should I say?
Lola, tell us where you're from.
Oh, well, I'm originally from Nigeria, but
Awesome.
I stay in Houston, Texas right now. So yeah. I'm still in school. I'm getting my bachelor's, and I work in clinical trials.
Okay, perfect. Good to have you. Dana, welcome back for the second time. Good to have you. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from.
Thank you for having me. I'm Dana P. I'm from down here in Dallas. I am in real estate. We buy houses, ugly, all over the country for cash. So that's what I do. And pro polygamous.
Okay, I can tell where how this conversation is going to go.
Yeah.
But everyone, again, welcome. Excuse my voice. Had a long weekend. Obviously, if you didn't have a good weekend, you didn't lose your voice. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So polygamy. Now, I know you guys have heard this term before, and we obviously know that it's illegal and it's legal in certain places. And we realize that people have been doing it on the down low for so long. And you've probably seen in the headlines recently, Neo and his situation and what he's got going on. And God bless his children and his soon-to-be ex-wife. But let's talk a little bit about that, because he allegedly, and this is what it said in the headline, that he had a polygamous relationship on the side with some girls from Instagram. And I thought that was just really interesting, because it's one thing to cheat, have a one-night stand, but when you have a whole nother family on top of that, another layer, 3 women in the same household. And like I said, allegedly, and this show isn't about Neo, but we're gonna start there. So Dana, tell us, what does polygamy mean to you?
Polygamy in itself, that's actual union where you get married to more than one woman. I know that's illegal, but most people are poly or polyamorous, which means the lover of many. Everyone, still loves their crush from high school or college, or has some type of, attachment to someone. Many people do. Side chicks, side dude, exes. I mean, there's so many different names to it. So it is what it is.
I like that. I'm going to get back to that in a second. But Lola, what's your definition of polygamy and polygamous?
Like what he said, similar, like obviously getting married to, but the surprising fact I just found, that I actually did not know that in the US that, polygamy is illegal, because from where I come from, it's actually not. So that was an interesting fact to find out. I did not know that you couldn't do that here in the United States.
That's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because here I watch a show called Sister Wives. Not sure if you guys ever heard of it or seen it. But on Sister Wives, they're in like Utah, and I think it may be legal there, it may not be. But nevertheless, they have families where they're not married to the main wife, so to speak, but she's the main chick, and then you have 3 other chicks that live in the house. Or 2 or whatever they have, but there's at least 3, but they're not legally married. So technically it's polygamous by nature, but again, it's not that union where it's legal. Right. But Lola, tell us a little bit like where you're from. Like, how does that all work? And like, how,
So, like Africa, we're so diverse in like cultures and stuff.
Mhm.
So I feel like it depends on the culture. Like, but for mostly it is allowed. No one find it like offensive or anything. And we have a specific, like for example, we have Islam, which is one of the like top religion in Africa. They're usually allowed to marry more than one wife. So the women and the men, they don't really think it's a bad thing. To be honest, I think it's more like a blessing for them. It shows like, oh, I'm rich, so I'm rich enough to have more than one wife. It's like a good thing. It's like in America, you showing off your cars and stuff. That's how it feels to some men
Yeah.
over there in Nigeria where I'm from. So it's for them. It's like I'm rich, so it's like showing off. Like these are my possessions. These are my worldly possessions that I have, which I
Right.
found that it's really really funny. So yeah, it is allowed, and people still practice it till today. Yeah, people marry more than one wife, two, three, in fact 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do they have like, do they live in different houses, or are they
Well,
like
I think
in the same
that
house?
that depends on what the man wants to do. If the man wants to get different houses for all of them, he get different houses for all of them. If he wants them all to come together, it all depends on what the man wants. And I feel like it's funny that most women put themselves in this situation because, like, in there's some instances where you could get into a polygamous relationship without even knowing you're in one. But in most cases in Nigeria, most women know what they're signing up for. They know that he has two or three wives before, and they still agree
Mhm.
to be the fifth or sixth or seventh wife. They're okay with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then obviously the man financially provides for all his
Yeah.
wives,
Most of
right?
these women, they probably do not work.
Mhm.
Wow.
They just like stay-at-home moms, raise kids. But I've actually seen some situation where the men are not like well off. They're like
Oh.
struggling,
Oh
and they still
boy.
marry a lot of wives.
They
So
winning.
it's funny. I do not
Yeah, it's
know.
funny.
So
It's funny because women here, especially in our community, like,
yeah.
first of all, if you're not paying at least
Mm-mm.
electric bill, you ain't going to be able to have, you know,
Exactly.
the
So
five other wives. Even if you just, in a normal relationship,
that's what
you're
I
ready
find
to
funny.
pull out
Yeah.
the axe.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. So, Dana, going back to what you were saying about men who have a side chick, and, technically it is, well, we can't label it as polygamy, but elaborate a little bit more on that. Like, is it an excuse for guys to have their cake and eat it too, or?
Cake and eat it too. I just think that if you see just, you know, uh, the easiest thing is celebrity headlines, right? Where the guy gets caught cheating, he has a known side chick or two, still has babies, and she never leaves. So she's complicit in understanding that this is what's going to happen. I live a great life. I don't want to lose this great life, have kids in the same house. And so they just roll with the situation. And so, you know, everybody's aware of it. I just think, like, in Africa, like she was talking about, like Lola was saying, they're just upfront with it and saying, hey, this is the situation. Where in America, they just like, side chick, hiding it, just random people everywhere. Just, you always, I learned a long time ago, man, if you be honest with a woman and give her the opportunity to say yes or no, man,
Yeah.
you can roll a long way because she knows
Mhm.
what she's signing up for, so, if you had for any guys out there, you had a conversation, you'd be surprised what the response from a woman is going to be. So,
Absolutely.
right.
So, question for both of you. In our community, how many of our Black women do you think would sign up to be in a polygamous relationship if all her bills were paid, her kids' tuition were paid, she was just set for life, and there's like three other wives in the house? Like, how many of us do you think would go for that, really? Percentage wise, would you say?
I feel like a lot.
Really?
People. I feel like black women. Some women would not like to admit that they would actually be okay with that, but they will actually be if they find a man that's like gonna pay for everything. I feel like some women will be okay with that. But me personally, no. But I feel like some women will be okay with that.
And what about you, Dana? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just see guidance. If there's good leadership in the situation, you had the resources, to make that situation, and you had the politic to make it and express it in the right way. Definitely, a lot do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because there was one point in one of my previous relationships where I was engaged, And I said to myself, this particular person said they wanted like 6 kids. And I'm like, well, I'm only going to have like 2 or 3. So who's going to have the rest of them? So he had mentioned, well, I could just get another wife in here. And at first I wanted to fight him, right? Like I was ready to fight.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, like, that might not be a bad idea because you're taking care of me. I know you're going to take care of our children. If you want to bring somebody else in here, just make sure she cook clean and she doing everything else that I don't need to do. And it's funny because I thought about it for a second. And then I realized, like, no, like, there's that jealous element where I'm like, I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night, stab nobody. I didn't want to get involved in that. So that kind of segues me into my next question. What part of polygamy you think has to do with sex? Like, do you feel like it's a sex thing? Or is it just people, they might be freaks. They want like multiple women at the same time. Like, Dane, I'll start with you on that one.
I mean, I really think like women politics the situation more than the dude does. A woman's only going, a guy's only going to go as far as his woman let him. So, if she's with the groove, I mean, she has to approve the chick anyway. So
right.
She's okay and they get along and have a good camaraderie, then they go down. I mean, pretty much.
Right. And Lola, what about you? How much do you think sex plays a part in polygamy?
I feel like for some men that could be the main reason why they're actually into polygamy. Like they want to be able to have different type of women for different type of day. So I feel like that's why most men, to be honest, are into that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's interesting. How much of it do you think is ego as well?
I don't know. I'm not really sure how really ego could be put into it because, like, I don't know. Like speaking like American terms, I don't know how that could.
Like a man who has 2, 3 women on his arm, and what does that do to his ego?
Oh, definitely. I feel like so many to boost their ego. I feel like I
Right.
could be able to pull any woman I want. So like that's what most men be
Matter
thinking.
of fact, I got 5 at home.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like it boosts some.
I think some, but I mean, women are amazing. I think women are amazing just in general. Black women are amazing, like just phenomenal people. All different shapes and sizes, skin tones, attitudes, hips, lips, like completely God just threw it all against the wall and made all these beautiful women. They're very smart, aggressive, can fend for themselves. I cannot go on and on how I love Black women. I think that in that, if it's the right situation with the right leadership, you might have, in Africa, I'm sure, Lola, like, wouldn't a person who had sheep and a person who made clothes, wouldn't that be like the right situation? And somebody who might have some export, and that's how you bring that together to make the right situation. It's more for industry and building communities. It's a quicker way. You got 3 incomes, 3 good credit scores, 3, 4 good credit scores. You can politic a situation to build an income quickly. So I just think if you look at it from the right way, I mean, it'll work out.
That's interesting you say that because I was always one of these people where I'm like, teammate makes the dream work. Teamwork makes the dream work. So if you have 2 good incomes and you put them together, not only can you get that house up on the hill, put your kids' college tuition away early, start doing those things as power couples. But imagine adding a second, third wife into the fold, like you said, Dana, who has good credit, and we're collectively as a team 3 or 4 people together, and now we're building communities out in the community. But are we inspiring other people and showing people the traditional way of how marriage should be, which is generally between 2 people? But a part of that concept of what you're saying is actually something that I could see people doing over the next 10 years and making it normal. I mean, what do you guys think?
Look at all the craziness that goes on now. Like, people don't even know what classification the gender is. Yeah. Like it's right. I mean, if you look at nature and nature be the blueprint, who's the king of the jungle?
The man?
No, but what animal is the king of the jungle?
Oh, the lion.
Is it one lion or how many lionesses?
Yeah, that's true.
It's one lion, and the lionesses really run. So think about it. A Black woman in the household, you got trust me, if you got two black women in the household, they really run the household. You come in for the protector, provider, that sort of role and quarterback the situation, but everything else, they run all that. So, I just think that if you look at nature, it's the blueprint.
Absolutely. So going back to the kind of the celebrity part of it, where I actually believe that there's probably more celebrities out here living polygamous lifestyles. One, they have the money. Two, they can get people in their sleep, without effort. And then three, no one's going to question them because they are who they are. So any woman is going to, bow down and do whatever they need to do. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like it goes on more in the celebrity community than it does in the normal community?
Well, for me, I feel like, to be honest, I feel like it goes on in even like normal people. It's just like I feel like it's not really talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Like people try to be like secretive about it because, like I said, not a lot of people have an open mind to it. Like, for example, I'm a Christian and I know other Christians that will probably, are really opinionated and will like no to that and probably think it's like a no. But I feel like it goes on, but it's not just like, widely like spoken about, and people are not just like, I know there's some, like I watch TikTok and I see some people that like open about their lifestyles, but I feel like a lot of people might be actually doing it, but it's not just well talked about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think, Dana, about that?
So I think anybody can put together a situation if you have love involved and understanding and openness and communication. Celebrities, yeah. I mean, you got the resources for an extra person and you can make that happen, yeah, pretty much.
So, Dana, I have a question for you. So, if you were married and this black woman who you glorify so much, which is amazing, is everything you need and everything you've been waiting for, and she comes and tells you, honey, I don't mind if we bring another two wives in here to make our household a movement more than what it is now, what would your answer to that be?
I'm with that, but they have to have it's just not like a sex only type thing. With me being attractive is the minimum requirement. So it goes beyond that, how do they fit? What do they do?
Right.
It's more, credit got to be good, have some paperwork put to the side, can listen, can follow directions and mesh well. Because you can have somebody who might be perfect, but just not perfect for you in any dynamic. So
Absolutely. So you'd be doing like a pre-screening process to make sure that they fit the bill to be in there, just deserve to be in there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think women are more women are like primal instinct selective. So, like a woman ain't gonna let another woman come in her household if she don't like her. So I think that, I'm like the last stop to approve. But I think, the woman, finding a situation works a whole lot better, a whole lot easier.
Absolutely. So, Lola, what about you on the other side of the coin? If you were in love with a man and he was like your end to all, your everything you've been waiting for, and he comes and says to you, honey, I think it's good that we bring two other women into the household. You'll be the main wife. How would you feel about that?
That is a no for me. I cannot.
Go for it.
I can like I know people do it and it works. Like I said, like Dana said something about, if the man is able to, like, if you have some certain rules and you know how to. But me, it's just too much. I feel like being in a relationship with just one person is already a lot of work. Bringing a third person in there is just going to be too much for me. I don't think I could be able to. And I'm too jealous for that. I
Yeah.
just would not be able to.
Absolutely. I hear you. For sure. It's funny because, like I said, in the previous relationship, I thought about it myself, and then I was kind of like, no, it would just be too odd. It was constantly
Exactly.
another woman.
So with that type of situation, though, like the women end up best friends. They end up liking each other, grooving. So if the man's not around, they can go out and get drinks. You got a buddy. You got somebody who can cook some of the time. You got somebody who can help you do your hair. You got a fashion consultant. you have a whole nother person who can be just as dynamic and cool. Because sometimes, being with your mate is like, man, we cool, but stay on that side of the couch, like,
Yeah, that's so true.
I feel like
so,
for what he's saying, that the other side is I feel like that is the fun aspect. But when it comes to like the other side of like, for example, sex wise, for example, some people might like the polygamy side of having, your best friend there. But when it comes to sometimes like sharing the bed and stuff, there's like so many questions like, how did that happen? Or, who gets to cuddle with the man and stuff like that. I feel like that is probably when it gets more awkward and stuff like that.
I think we all cuddle together though. You just cuddle all together. I mean, you just end up how you end up, really.
It's funny. Do you guys watch Sister Wives on TLC or any of those polygamous shows?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't before. No.
It's funny because like that's one of my favorite shows, and it's interesting where I'm, hosting this topic. But the number one thing that I think people speculate on and they're wrong about in polygamous relationships, based on me watching this particular show, is like these people, like the women aren't even lesbians. Like people think like they're having these threesomes every night, and like they're taking turns with the man. Like, and like you said, Dana, earlier, the women are like homies. And like the men have to beg for like their attention, like, hey, you guys just went shopping last week. You guys aren't going to come watch a movie with me, and they're very territorial. Like the women, like they're like besties, and like the man is like last. And then when it comes time for like intimacy, he spends Monday and Wednesday with Lisa and Tuesday, Friday with Sasha, and the weekends he's just chilling, probably watching Pornhub or whatever he does. But it's funny, they have like a schedule. And like they don't cross paths, and the women are like, ew, don't touch me. It's funny. But when I think about polygamy, I think, oh, they're just in there getting it popping every night, threesomes. But like, no, they're very structured. It's so funny. And this is on this particular show.
I think,
yeah.
Is there more like an arranged? Because I can't see Black women being like, hey, Monday I'm gonna see you, Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I need this D, it ain't gonna be on no Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Even if it's her turn, like I'm knocking on the door when you finish.
Man, tell the Black woman what to do in the same household. Come on now, man. 2 of them or 3 of them.
It's funny, yeah. The Black woman's probably the one who'd be like, I'll knock on your door when I'm ready, and I'll wait in line.
I mean,
exactly.
You treat everybody as equals. I think in that situation, with maybe sister wives, they're not all treated as equals, or they were like chosen randomly, not randomly, but they weren't maybe not with their will, with Black women, man, for that situation to work, we're talking about like modern, poly type situation for it to work. Everybody got to be on board. You can't, you do a lot of things better if you're having fun and actually enjoying the situation, because, never put yourself in a situation where you're not enjoying it. So,
Absolutely. And it's funny you when you say that, Dana, because on this particular show, the one wife, there's one Black couple, mind you, on like there's like 6 other couples on this show. There's one Black couple. And the main wife, she tells the husband all the time, like, go out and vet these women, take them on dates, but their rule is you can't have sex with them. So he broke the rule the one time, and he was like, look, I need to test drive the car, because they were looking to bring someone home and have a wedding next weekend. So he ended up sleeping with the girl, and he was like, look, I had to do it because the sex was bad. You see, now this girl would have came in and been the wife because she checked all the other boxes, but the sex wasn't good. So the wife was like really mad at him because he broke the cardinal rule. But then at the same time, she was kind of glad that he got that part out the way and they didn't choose the wrong woman. So it's crazy. But how do you think people do it just in like the regular community? Like, do you think, like, if Dana, if you were in that situation, would you want to test drive the car before you brought it home, or like, how would you handle that?
I think it all come down to chemistry. First, I wouldn't break the trust, because that's all we got. Like that's how the situation runs the way it does. You got to have trust. She got to trust you. You got to trust her. Right. So I wouldn't break the trust. And then, like I said, I just, I sit back and let the female quarterback the situation, because if they don't get along, it don't matter what I think. I don't want hell in the house. So I'm like, it's just not going to work out. So, and I think, any sex can be improved, if a person's willing to learn. So, I mean, and there's chemistry and understanding. So, You know.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So do you guys know anyone personally that is in a polygamous relationship or known anyone? I mean, I know in your community it's a thing, Lola. So you have any uncles, aunts where they bring all
Oh,
the wives over
most
for
definitely.
Thanksgiving? It's
But you
not
know, the surprising thing, well, I guess it's always like because of the cultures, there are differences. Like you were saying on the show you were watching, like and according to what Dana has been saying, like he will let the woman take charge, and like in the show you said like the woman in Nigeria, it is not that way for most cases. It is
mm,
not. The man is being treated as the king. He is the
wow.
number one. It's like the women are there to cater to him. He
Wow.
didn't bring them in there to form a sistership or relationship. He brought them in so they can all take care of him and take care of the kids. He's the number one. Um, as
Mhm.
far as rules, I feel like yeah, they definitely do go by rules, but like I said, it all depends on what the man wants. If he wants to have two people on Wednesday, he can have two people on Wednesday.
Mhm.
That's how it rolls. The man is the alpha in the relationship, so
Mhm.
that's how I do it.
Yeah. How do the parents feel about like these type of relationships in your culture?
Most of the times I don't really think they do care, to be honest. Like I said, so there's two types. It's either these women are being like married because of, the man has a lot of money to take care of them and they're probably their parents. So the
Mhm.
parents are probably fine with it. Or it comes down to the man doesn't even have money, but like some women just I guess they just want to find someone that they can talk with and be, someone that makes them feel safe.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I guess they do it for that, which they don't care if he already has previous wives. They just feel safe with him, so they'll still go in there even if the parents um disapproves or not. But most cases, it's usually the money. Most of these men that go into polygamous relationship in Nigeria, they have the money to take care of this woman. So most of the parents are they're happy, because them too they're getting taken care of. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
so they're fine.
Yeah.
Right. So, what percentage of these women, and not particularly in your community, Lola, but just in general, women who are in
Mhm.
polygamous relationships, I'm curious to know, like, where do you think the self esteem is there? Do you think these women have like high or low self esteem? Do you feel like maybe they feel like they can't have their own man to themselves, or maybe they're just mesmerized by the man, or maybe they just need guidance? Like, I'm curious of the mentality behind this,
Mhm.
outside of it being a culture thing,
Mhm.
um, because a culture thing is a culture thing. You're not going to change your
Exactly.
mindset on that.
Mhm.
But people who didn't grow up in that culture and don't
Yeah.
know that to be a thing, but just kind of fell into it.
Mhm.
Dana, I'll start with you. Where do you think the mentality is behind these women?
um, Strong. I think you have to be mentally strong, or it's gonna wash out anyway. I mean, Lola, in Africa, I bet the rules are a whole lot different, as far
Mhm.
as picking a woman, it's like I'm sure, some of the stuff they do is probably you get arrested over here for a couple things. As far as recruiting the women, etc., right? On
Mhm.
polyamorous relationships. But I think women gotta be strong. Like American women, you have to be because your family, your friends who don't understand the situation, they're
Yeah.
gonna talk all type of mess. And so that's why I say you really have to be on one accord within your group, in order to keep that together.
Yeah, I was thinking for some reason, I'm like, maybe they don't have any self esteem, these women who just kind of fall into it, especially here in America.
Mhm.
Like, because why would you want to deal with that? But then again, like, that makes sense what you're saying, Dana. You do have to kind of be strong in a way where you have a lot to deal with. You've got a lot of criticism from your family. You've got other wives you got to deal with. You got to keep the family together, especially if you're the main wife. So, yeah, that probably does take a sense of resilience and strength
Mhm.
to go through that. That's very interesting. I wonder how many of these women you think at some point get tired of this and be like, I'm tired of this stuff and I'm just out of here. Like, or is it like a lifetime thing? Like, what do you guys think? Because we know divorce rates are high nowadays, but how long do you think these polygamous people are staying in their so-called unions for?
Well, I think like polygamous is like when you married. I think a lot of people just polyamorous, like they
Mm,
lover of many. You know,
yeah,
I think stay in those particular relationships a long time. Some of them end up relationships because it'd be the side chick and the main chick, and the dude could be really good. He could be a perfect dude, except for the one simple fact that he has a side chick. You
right.
know, And so if she's like, this is a good dude, he's wealthy, he got his stuff together, he take care of his kids, et cetera, et cetera. She don't want to leave. And the side chick is like, well, I'm not leaving either. And
Right.
so, they politic that situation and be like, well, look, this our dude. We're not letting nobody else in. So I've seen that happen several times.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They got like this gridlock community. It's funny.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lola, what do you think about that? Do you think these polygamous relationships last longer than like regular marriages, or?
So I've actually seen a few like here in the United States, and the ones I've seen, they did not last because, like, I feel like, they have the main person that they're married to, and then they bring the other person. I feel like, well, from the ones I've seen, they do get bored. So they probably end up switching for somebody else, or they just like, they're just done with that phase and they just stop.
Right. Yeah. Because it's funny. I keep going back to the Sister Wives show, but like I love this stuff, right? Because I like the psychology behind it. But this one particular wife that the Black family brought in. So the first week that she came in, they were like, we need you to eat these alkaline based foods and like all these natural foods, because they were trying to control the pH of her vagina. And I was like,
I would have been like, I'm out.
It was like, I gotta do alkaline. What? I gotta do what? Like, come on, y'all trying to change the girl's vagina pH?
Man, if she got that loud pack, it ain't going away.
And I'm like, this is before the wife was like, no, until I know where her pH level is, she is not laying down with my man. And the girl was like, okay. Mind you, they were vegetarians, and she was like, meat and potatoes all the way. So she already cut that out when she came in the door. But they were like, if you want to get this dick, you're going to have to eat this stuff to make your pH on point. Yeah. She did it. Needless to say, the girl didn't last 3 months. They had a wedding and everything. And she just did not last because it was trying to control her vagina, honey. And after that, I was like, it's one thing to say, oh, well, you drink too much or you eat too much meat, but control your pH. That was it for me. So I just thought that was really, really funny. Why
did they, my question would be, why would you go find a meat eater? Wouldn't you go to where vegetarians are, or go to some of those communities and, you look for someone with sort of the same lifestyle?
Exactly. You vet them. Yeah, you vet them. Absolutely. They were vetting her through this. It's funny that you mentioned that in the vetting process, because a girlfriend of mine is on probably every dating app imaginable: Hinge, Bumble, OkCupid. She calls me every week telling me about all these stories. Are you guys familiar with like online dating?
Yeah.
Okay, so like she is like, Genele, you would be so shocked. Like every other profile is a polygamous couple, a man saying, hey, I'm Bob, Polly, looking for Polly. And it's like,
looking for a third. Yeah.
And she's just like, I'm just trying to get a husband by Christmas. A normal dude was like, so I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. Like she literally had this screenshot, and I said, we're actually doing a show on this next week. And so I guess it is like a thing in our community, and I didn't know that. So have you guys tried any dating apps? Being single? Hello, are you single?
No, I'm actually in a relationship.
Okay. And Dana, I know you're single. So like, are you on any dating apps?
I've tried dating apps. I use it as a lead generation system.
I know that's right. You said that last.
I mean, I did meet my boyfriend through Tinder, so.
Girl, I met my ex through Tinder. We were together for 3 years.
I met a girlfriend on POF, one on Tinder, one on. I mean, it's easy for busy people who don't want to be in the. I mean, imagine going to the club. I mean,
Yeah, it's like an ash in the bucket. It's funny because like before I got married, I was online dating for over like 15 years. Like I remember back in the day when I was on Black Planet.
You way back in the okay.
Yeah, like I'm almost 40. So Like I remember back then, I was on like the phone call one, the mixed mingle or something, and then I was on a Black Planet, right? So like back then on the phone one, I had to have a brother mail me a picture because I didn't have a cell phone, and I think the flip phones had just came out or something, but I didn't have none of that. And I remember I had to have him mail me a picture. And then like obviously I never called him back because I was like the picture, this ain't it. So
Yeah.
it's funny. It's advanced so much. But Lola, so you met your boyfriend on Tinder. How long have you guys been together?
Funny, he just asked me out this weekend.
Okay, all right. So you just met him and y'all
Well,
are
no,
going
we
out.
didn't just meet. We
Oh, I'm
actually met
sorry.
last year, December. But
Oh, okay. So y'all coming
we've
up
been
on a year.
talking. hmm
Gotcha.
They
Okay.
just asked me out on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is this not your first time meeting, right? Or
Oh no, this is not first time.
gotcha. Okay. But he okay. 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 So let me ask you this. So if you were back online and you were,
hmm
you're seeing these polygamous profiles, like would you just skip over those brothers or would you kind of entertain it just to see?
No, well actually, just for fun, I think I did at one time try to have a conversation, and it was just weird because I
Mhm.
felt like those ones were there for just sex because he was saying all this like
Mm.
he said they were looking for someone to act like a dog, and I was like, what? It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's what you're into. Like I was like, oh yeah, no, not me.
Check your Vaughn. Check your
I was just
Vaughn.
really confused. Like
You know,
he literally
I got
had
a
like
story
this
for
whole
that too.
rules of what like he wanted the dog, the so-called dog, to do, and I'm just like, no, thank you very much for now. So I feel like if you, especially on Tinder, I don't think I've ever tried any other dating site except from Tinder. There's like a lot of them that, and they're really specific. They put everything of what they want, so they like let you know, like don't DM me if you're not into these things. So yeah, people are they're out there living this life.
It, it's crazy. You say that there is a community of people out there. I don't know what it's called. I can't think of it, but I heard it on the Steve Harvey morning radio show last week. A
Mhm.
community of men out there where they like to be treated like animals and dogs. And
Furries.
what's it
Like,
called?
is that the people who dress up like the animals and stuff? The furries?
I think
Probably.
that's probably it.
Yeah, they
They
want
Yeah.
to
like
be
dress up in
walked
the
like dogs.
costumes and the
hmm
yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, they want to be walked like dogs. They want their women to pet them when they're having sex, and they want the women to bark, and they want to be barked at. I'm like, what the hell?
I
Like,
I
mean,
mean, do what you want to
it's
do,
not for
but
everybody. I mean, some people like feet, and some people like all type of stuff. So I mean,
that's just weird to me. Cause like I have
it
one of my
is.
friends, the one who's on the dating app, she had this guy. She's like, oh my God, he's like husband material. This is it. Knowing she had to conform to he's Muslim and shout out to all my Muslim people, but she's total opposite of that. So okay, you're gonna conform, that's fine, do what you need to do. But then the extra layer to that is he is one of those people in this
hmm
community
mhm.
who sexually want to be treated like an animal. So she said the one time she went to his house, and mind you, this man doesn't have no animals, no dog, no nothing. And when she rang the doorbell, she heard this really loud barking noise. And when she opened the door, it was him. And that was his way of greeting the women that came to his house to kind of lure them in. And she was like, when did you get a dog? And he was like, I ain't got a dog. She was like, I know that was not you barking. And why the hell is you barking? Like that was some ignorant shit. Now I done drove 2 hours down here from New York, and it's like you want some other
Wow.
stuff. And he was just laughing about it. And like I told her like, you didn't hear that episode on Steve Harvey? Go on YouTube. And then after that, she was like, yeah, I don't care if I ever see him again. Like, girl, you would have got yourself into a whole situation because that man's weird.
That's surprising though, because I feel like I thought Muslim people are more like conservative when it comes to
Yeah,
sex and
that's what
stuff.
I thought too. Yeah, very.
They
And
live
I
the
was
best
like,
life.
yeah, oh my God. And I don't and not just and there's so many men like who even aren't Muslim, just just regular men and just
hmm
Christians and all that are and on the Steve Harvey show, they were talking about the lady was like, yeah, he had me walk him outside in the backyard butt naked on a leash and then lifted up his leg and wanted me to pee on something. was like, oh my God. So anyway, I don't know how we got into that, but so like you said, Dana, these are all fetishes. So like, do you guys think like polygamy is a fetish? Like, I mean,
I don't think so. I think it isn't in the Bible. Didn't the kings have a couple? Didn't a couple kings have like
Yeah,
hundreds of
there's some
wives?
kids that had a bunch of wives. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's everybody want to run with the Bible and what's in the Bible, let's run with that. So I mean, if it's in the Bible,
right. If it's
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like it depends. It depends for some people. Some people, I feel like it is. It is for them. For some other people, they're actually like out there to
Right.
meet people and genuinely like meet them and like them. Like some people actually, like I have a friend that she likes two guys, and it's not just she likes one more than the other. She likes both of them equally. So some people are like that. They can be able to share the heart, equally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just think I'm just surprised at like how much like I keep seeing it surface more, multiple relationships. And back in the day, when you think about it, our grandfathers and some of our fathers, including mine, had multiple women at the same time. So like technically, like that's polygamous nature for years. Why have all of us got like different dads and we all grew up in the same house? It's like, so I think it's been going on for so everything like recycles itself, in a sense. And like I said, I mean, these things have been going on for years and years and years. But now like we're seeing it more on the forefront. Like you said, Dana, I think the way that they look at it in the community and inside these polygamous community is probably wealth building and family building and collectively being a unit and getting to that, like you said earlier, camaraderie where everyone is together. And it's not necessarily about sex or having multiple women, but as a unit, that's how they move. And they feel like they're elevating in life. So, much respect to them.
Yeah.
When you escape the matrix too, though, like if you own your own businesses and you don't really, there's no backlash of how you live your lifestyle, that's when people really, seek to be who they really are.
Right.
Everyone's trying to escape the matrix. So people escape it and do, put together a situation.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think these children are affected or maybe not affected in these polygamous relationships and in these homes?
Me, I feel like it could depend, like Dana said, like it all depends on the structure. If you have a good structure, like it could, it wouldn't even feel like they're living like it's different.
Becomes normal to them.
Yeah, it becomes normal to them. So it all like depends if it has like good leadership, like everyone is know the rules and is living peacefully. Then I think it could be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Dana, what do you think about that?
I think kids are kids. They want to be loved. They want to be understood. They call everybody a brother, a cousin, a fake brother, a fake cousin anyway. So I mean, if you're solid from an early age, everybody a brother and sister. If you know how many blended families there are anyway, where a person may get married to someone else and they have kids and now they brother and sister. So kids are pretty cool.
Yeah. Can you imagine the teenage boys going to school and their friends are like, yo, your dad is the man. He got like three wives at home. I don't know if they're embarrassed or if they're kind of like think it's cool. I'd be interested to know, the mind of like a 12-year-old that, that has to go home or if they're like, well, that's just my mom and my three moms and my dad, so I don't know.
I think the teachers will be more ostracizing than the kids will. The kids don't think it's cool. The teachers are going to be like, because most of, the demographic of most of the American teachers.
Yep.
So
married, yeah. And I'm sure they'll get to a chapter and I don't know what subject that would be in history or they get to polygamy and the illegal, connotation behind it. But I don't know. I didn't learn about that stuff, but I remember.
Probably can't even talk about it at this point with all the laws and situations.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they talk about that in school.
Some
schools, I don't think so.
Or sexual education. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, I don't even remember like ever like learning about any of that stuff.
We just had a video. We had an STD video. That's all we had.
We did.
Yeah.
What don't do.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the syphilis little bubbles
The
floating around is
bumps and
like,
stuff, we didn't know what it was. We were just like, we don't
yeah.
want to bump. So
We
Yep,
don't
that's all I
that.
needed to see was that.
yeah, that was like 5th grade, wasn't it? Shock value about
Oh
5th
yeah,
grade.
absolutely. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely 5th grade all the way. Yep.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, interesting. Well, yeah, some good conversation tonight. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add to this? I mean, like I said, it's a thing obviously in the community. Lola, this is nothing new to you in your community.
No, it's not.
How many questions? So, in your community, the population of people that migrate over here to the United States, do they
Hmm.
bring their wives with them, or like how does that work?
So since like in some state it's not allowed,
Mhm.
they probably would just choose one.
Oh gosh, can you
Yeah,
imagine?
they would just choose, and mostly so, like in my tribe now, I'm part of the Yoruba tribe. They
Mhm.
have the first wife is actually really really important. Like she's the head. She's
Mm.
like the one that leads the others. So which it'll probably be the first wife because it's like the men, the first wife is always like the OG, them too,
Yeah.
they do respect the first wife. So
Mhm.
it's like this was the one I bought before. So usually they will bring the first wife. They might not bring in the others, but they probably wouldn't like, legally like register them as their wives.
No.
Probably just like,
Right.
but they probably will still be. I know some that they all live together, but only one
Wow.
is registered as the wife. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Wow, that's crazy. So as far as the polygamous relationships that go on in the dating community, um, what do you think as far as like the age group is? Like, are they younger? Are they older? Or
Mm.
I mean, I think all,
Oh yeah.
you might have somebody who all of them were friends and they could be in their 60s, 70s, 80s. They're like, look, my husband, my husband died, your husband died. It's just me. What we doing? Like,
Let's go.
like I'll make sure you
right?
take your medicine. I'll make sure you make dialysis. We're gonna make it,
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Wow, that's funny. Yeah, why not? And honestly, at that age for me too, I'd be like, it's a wrap. Like, who paying the light bill? Who doing this? Who doing
yeah.
that?
Exactly.
And I mean, I think the younger generation too, because I
They
like
like
the
to
youngest
explore.
generation.
Hmm.
They are
Mhm.
like get out the matrix early, like
Yep.
forget it, we'll figure it out later. And
Yep.
so,
It is true.
yeah.
It's funny because these sister wife shows are all early 20s, early 30s.
Hmm.
Mm.
They're very young. They're still trying to figure it all out. It's funny. And it's funny because the man is usually like the oldest one, and the women are like 10 years younger. So it's funny.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
I think people who have been married and divorced before too, they like, look, just be straight with me and we can work it out. You know.
Yeah, that is a really good point because it's one thing to have to start all over again and go through all the BS.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Look, if he's a good brother, he's going to take care of home. Who you got? Shanika and Tawanda? Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
As long as they act right, you know.
I mean, there's more scarcity of resources than our people. So I mean, if you find somebody with check all the boxes, resource and everything else wise, then if you keep it a buck, they'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder how many women like because I hear some where they live separately and then like they all live together. Like if I were to do it, I thought like, okay, I would want to all live together because I wouldn't split up the chores. So I don't have to do everything. No.
Mm-hmm.
Like one person take care of the kids, one person does the cooking and the cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know, that's just kind of like the real world. Like everyone lives in the same house and that might get annoying for me. Um, how would you, if Lola, if you were pretend in that situation, how would you
Hmm.
think you want to do it?
I want to live in separate houses. Like,
Yeah,
do you when you're over there, do me when we're over
yeah,
here. So,
exactly. Yeah, right. As long as the lights stay on. Dana, would you like
hmm.
all the women underneath one roof, hypothetically?
Um, I think it will work that way. I think you date a person, like if you and a person together, y'all end up dating somebody else anyway to see
Hmm.
if it's going to work out or not. So
Yeah,
they got a lease or a mortgage or something. You got to situate that. You make that situation work. It takes some structure and some planning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great discussion tonight, guys. Really, I hope we, brought to light, some of these things that are going on in our community. Not that polygamy is a bad thing. Like we said earlier, do what works for your family or
Yeah.
families, and then whatever makes you happy. If you're wealth building, if you're a freak, if you're just out here.
You can be both.
You can be both. Yeah, you can be both. It'd be great.
Do you?
Do
Do what makes you happy.
But my main thing is, and I started with this when we first came on, was just be honest. Like, if you're on a dating app and you have multiple women that you're getting to know, be honest with all those women about what you're doing. If you're a married man and you're trying to have a couple wives and girlfriends on the side, just be honest. That's my thing.
Exactly.
How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, that's what I feel. Because, like, I feel like most people think that, they're not going to find someone that's not interested in that same thing. So they have to lie. You'll be surprised. Like, so just be upfront. So, like, I mean, that makes everything so much easier. So, just honesty. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Dana, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I believe, people hate being betrayed. I think the thing that pisses women off is being lied to. You can tell them a lot of things they might not want to hear except the lie. So,
exactly.
Just being straightforward. I think a lot of people just, don't believe that it's possible, but it really is. It definitely is. So
yeah, exactly. Just be honest with people so people don't get hurt. I mean, poor Neo's wife. I mean, if this allegedly is true that Neo had these 3 particular women in this house, and providing for all of them, and obviously having sex with all of them, and then has these multiple children at home with his wife of all these years. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Like, I would be devastated,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm more relieved to the situation. So, so.
I think he been blazing the trail, but I mean, you took it to another level on this one, bro.
Yeah.
If it's true, Yeah, if it's true,
I mean, but who's to say she wouldn't have went along with the situation though? That's the other part of it. She probably was upset that she been dealing with all these kids when he had help. You could have brought help to deal with some of these kids.
Right, exactly.
Scuffling, and you've been providing for them. You could have, I need help.
Right. Exactly. That's my thing. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, in any structure too, man. A woman don't want to get no STDs and nothing like that. So she want to make sure the situation is together. Just like anybody would. So yeah, the betrayal part, you can't do that.
It's one thing, like, I could deal with him. This probably sounds like oblivious, but I could deal with a man if you just had a one night stand, a quick whatever. I may or may not forgive you. If you find, we talked about this on another show. And if you lay in the pipe, whatever, you can blacken my eye one time. I'm just playing. What some more say? I just walked into the punch right now. I am not condoning violence, people. But I'm just being facetious. But a man, some women are willing to just put up with whatever because they love that man, whether it's physical abuse, verbal, mental, whatever it is. And it's not right. And you should never deal with any of that. But me personally, I'm speaking for myself. It's funny. I always said to myself, I'm like, okay, I could deal with somebody who cheats maybe one time. But if you attach a baby to that, or if you fall in love with someone, or if you're in a polygamous relationship on the side, that I can't do. I could do it one transaction, a one-nighter. Just don't let her be a stripper.
I mean, hold on.
I feel what you're saying. I definitely agree with that. I feel like I could forgive just one time. You only have one ticket, just
nothing
one.
attached to it, no baby, nothing. Because what are you gonna do after
any aftermath to it? Nothing that we have to regret in the future. If not, nah.
Yeah, Dana, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just saying, like, this is 2022. The stripper is the Sunday school teacher, who is the lawyer, who is the doctor, who is the Instagram model, who is the clothing line. She preach on the side. She's the evangelist next month. Like, she got a tummy tuck. Now she do fitness. I mean, so, you know,
Now she's an affiliate. She's
yeah. I mean, she do
selling
everything.
protein shakes.
Yeah, she do protein shakes now. She do so the stripper is just a part-time gig, so you can't discount all the good stuff she do. The small part of her being a stripper.
That's true. Be like, babe, she wasn't a stripper. She sells insurance. She sells cars.
There you go. Yeah. She got a BBL to sell more houses. So, I mean, it just no. But seriously though, I think that for whatever a person want, just be straight up and let people know what the situation is. You gotta be scary though to not want to tell her. He had to be really, I'm not speaking on another man's situation, but anybody gotta be real scary of their situation to not tell them. You got a whole people over there, a whole nother tribe. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
not to mention, like you said, STDs, like you don't know who those 3 women are sleeping with.
Exactly.
Like in between you coming into town. That's just wild.
Was it like near his house or something, or was it in a whole nother situation?
Well, allegedly, he moved these women or one of the women to Atlanta to be closer to where he is, which I think was the tipping scale for the wife, allegedly. So I was like, wow, like you never, what do they say? You never shit where you lay your head at or something like that.
But another thing, if she like chicks though, if the wife like chicks, then it ain't really that's your wing person. It ain't really your wife, it's your wing woman. So I mean, the situation works different. So she probably didn't like chicks or something, and it was
exactly. Like, she apparently filed them papers that same day. Allegedly, that same day she found out. I was like, wow. So that's just crazy. That is crazy to me. But great conversation, guys. We'll go ahead and wrap up, and we like to usually just go around the room and everyone tell us, your thoughts on, summing this all up into a nutshell. Any advice you want to give to our people out here, just from your perspective. Lola, we'll start with you, dear.
Well, I feel like for the topic itself, like live your life, live it safe, like live it safely, love whoever you want to love. Just I feel like it's just good to be honest, let everyone know of the situation, and just be open. Let everyone be in the know that this is what we're doing, this is what I like, this is what you like, let's do it. Yeah,
absolutely. Good stuff. Dana?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it goes back to being honest. If I had any advice, just be honest. If you talk to her and politic the situation, a woman who's on your team will still roll with you no matter what.
exactly.
So, I mean, if y'all got that, it gotta be more based up. It's more than sex. It's based upon like, here's where we going. You trust me, I trust you, and this is the situation. And if she want to roll with it, she will.
Absolutely. Yeah. And my advice is to our community out there, like I said earlier, do you, whatever makes you happy, as long as you're honest with people and, you're keeping it real. I mean, that's what we all ask for. I mean, especially as Black women, we just want our men to just keep it real and to just not only put us on a pedestal and we're going to, treat you like a king, but just keep it real because we sacrifice so much and so do you. So we just want to be able to, at least be in each other's corner. But we definitely appreciate you all joining tonight. Again, go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe. Again, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, obviously. And we'd love to have you guys come back on another episode. You guys were amazing. And like I said, thanks for joining us tonight. Great conversation. Definitely something that we need to talk about in our community. And again, have a good night and peace, love, and hair grease.
Peace.